Hey guys, Coach Gaglione here. Today I want to talk about sugar. Is it evil? Should you stay away from it? Is it poison? So a lot of this has to do with context, right? So sugar is a smaller, kind of more refined form of a carbohydrate. So when you eat some rice, eat potatoes, it's going to eventually get broken down to sugar anyway, but it's a longer process. So something like a potato is going to be very satiating. It's going to keep you fuller longer. It's going to be a longer, more sustained energy. Okay, things like even like white rice, it's going to digest a little bit quicker, even though it is a carbohydrate. It's not like broken down yet. Something like a pixie stick, right, or Gatorade, that's going to go through your system very, very fast. So there's going to be nutrient timing to consider, and also what your goals are. So my buddy Chris Bell has said carbs beget carbs, right? So that can be good or that can be bad. Now, if you're a guy, like a former big guy like myself, I was as heavy as 340 pounds. Now I'm like sitting between 205 and 210 most days. For me, I tend to overeat on carbs. And if I have things that are like sugar or just too many carbs in general, that usually tends to make me overeat more. So if your goal is to lose body fat, you need to kind of consider how you personally are going to react to carbs and what your relationship with food is and what your relationship with carbohydrates are. How is that going to trigger you? How is that going to make you react? Now, if you're someone who is a hard gainer, if you are having a hard time putting weight on and you're having a hard time getting to a calorie surplus, adding in higher glycemic carbs that are going to digest faster, can be a very useful tool. So when I'm trying to gain weight, put muscle on, or just kind of eat more food in general, and this is more from a performance standpoint, but it can be from a muscle building standpoint as well. You could do things like add a little dextrose, a little sugar onto your rice. It's going to make your appetite higher and allow you to get through your meals quicker. And even just adding carbohydrate to your meat, it's going to allow you to also get your protein requirement. If you just have a steak by itself versus a steak with a potato or a steak with rice or ground beef with rice, I find it's typically easier to get more food in even with more calories with the carbohydrate. It kind of allows you to kind of use that as a shuttle to drive that protein up and drive your calories up. So if you're trying to gain weight and you're a true hard gainer, adding in some sugar, adding in some honey on top of your food can be a very good tool. And just adding carbohydrates in general and spreading out those carbs throughout the day so you're not too full. What carbs should you choose? So if you're like a bigger guy like myself and you do want to have some carbs, having like a potato versus like rice, or oats versus rice. If something has more fiber, if something is more satiating and more like plain, that's going to kind of keep you fuller longer, okay? So it kind of depends on what your goals are, right? And on my high carb days, I'm trying to drive a lot of carbs in my system, so I'm going to have more things like rice, okay? So that's something to consider. One thing that can be very useful tool is also adding sugar to intra-workout nutrition if you care about performance. So this is a good product from First Form. This is Ignition. This is a glucose powder, and this is it's a dexanhydrous glucose. So it's a broken down glucose molecule. I apologize for my pronunciation. I'm in a cutting phase in my diet, so I'm not using this currently, but this is something I will use when I'm working on performance, and it's something I'm going to experiment with on game day, something that I'm going to experiment with a little bit more on my heavier days. I personally do not like to drink my carbohydrates, especially during a diet, but if your goal is performance, if you need to kind of have a quick digestion and a quick turnaround time for eating, then something like this glucose powder can be super effective, and that's going to digest quicker than even just like candy or pixie sticks. And I kind of not a big fan of just kind of eating candy in general. I just think it's kind of junk. But like a carbohydrate powder, maltodextrin, again, I like the glucose powder that's already broken down. It's going to digest quicker than anything else, and it's super efficient. You can combine that with a shake if you'd like. You can combine that with amino acids if you'd like, if you want to kind of take it to the next level and also to drive protein quicker. So this can be used in an intra-workout shake. This can be used as a post-workout shake or around the workout. So depending on if you're really trying to drive your calories up, you can have this pre-workout, post-workout, and even intra-workout. If you're just trying to drive your calories up a little bit and aid in your recovery, I would use this as a post-workout with like a hydrolyzed whey. So something like a Formula 1. So this is a hydrolyzed whey protein. Again, it's a quicker digesting whey. So that'd be good for like a post-workout situation. So is sugar bad? It kind of depends, right? But I'd say for most people, that don't have performance goals, that aren't trying to put muscle on. I think in general, staying away from too many carbs and too many sugars is a good rule of thumb. But in a performance situation, in a muscle building situation, and if you are a hard gainer trying to put weight on and you're really having trouble, sugar is a tool like anything else. I do think whole foods is going to be number one, so make sure your whole foods checked off. And if you're having trouble getting your protein requirement, then maybe potentially adding in some carbohydrates with the protein can help drive that protein up and drive your calories up. So is sugar bad? It depends, right? So, but just remember, you have to understand what your goals are, how you react to food, and then how that's going to kind of play in your overall plan for your diet and your nutrition. So I hope this message helps. Thank you guys for watching. Definitely check out the links below if you want to support the program, support the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, stay strong, and I'll see you soon.